Hey guys, how are y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys, there's another movie review. Today we're tackling the latest, not I guess the latest, but the latest, at least in my eyes, Scream review. Today we're tackling again from this little bundle here, which has the first three. Today we're obviously tackling Scream 2. Now, this is going to work similar to the Scream 1 review, in which I'm going to have a non-spoiler part and then a spoiler part. So I know they're old movies. Look, you don't want to get spoiled, alright? If you truly want to watch these movies, or care to in the future, you don't want to get ruined, just thought I'd let you know. But anyway, this is going to be the non-spoiler part of this review. So, Scream 1 was kind of like a precedent for horror, right? As I mentioned in the first review, it was kind of like they breathed new life into the franchise in a lot of different and unique ways, right? By being kind of, fourth wall breaking-esque, and they were just kind of, meta talking about, there's all these different layers, like I was saying in the other review, these layers / levels of depth of writing, which really set it apart from, say, just Evil Dead or Halloween or, something other that is traditionally more just about the horror or just about the horror comedy. Just kind of took it in a more unique, way. And this film, Scream 2, kind of doubles down on that, where literally the film opens with a freaking movie review, or not a movie, movie viewing, of a film called Stab, which is a movie version of the first movie's events. So Scream 1, the film, in the Scream canon universe world, they made a movie based off those events, written by Gale Weathers, who was the reporter who wrote the book about Stab, and they made it into a film. And that is meta on its own, right? Because, you're watching a movie, and then they're watching a movie based on the movie you watched based on a book. It's a whole thing. But the film starts off with the most ridiculous and utterly asshole-filled theater, which I swear to God, look. I saw Avengers Endgame, right? I saw The Rise of Skywalker. I saw whatever, I know that people get pumped up and hyped in theaters. Hell, I do, you know what I mean? When Tony Stark snapped, or when, Rey said she was a Skywalker, or, stuff like that, I wasn't obviously freaking out, but I was vocal, right? I'd say, yes, or woo, or, something like that, because I'm into it. But, I mean, Christ, if you've seen this movie, these people at the theater, they're going crazy, man. They're doing backflips, they're flipping their popcorn, they're all in their Ghostface masks, and they're, like, pretending to stab their buddies. And this couple is in the theater, and they're like, this is kind of crazy, They're giving away the Ghostface costumes, and look, I get it, okay? I get it. It's a parody of the world. Maybe. I mean, who knows? Maybe the director, Wes Craven, was like, all right, just go crazy, and I don't know. Look, if I was at a theater like that, I would effing leave, all right? I'd report it, and I'd get the fudge out, and I'd get my money back, all right? You can barely hear the movie over these people screaming and hollering like pigs being cut up. So it's kind of insane. Again, maybe that was for a dramatic effect, but it's kind of funny that they already, like 5 seconds in the movie, they're already freaking into it, you know what I mean? They're already talking about the meta effect that this had with, of course, the film Stab being recreated from those film's events. And going with that, you kind of had this crazy idea of what's going to happen, which, yes, they're doubling down on the fourth wall breaking and all that, but they're also giving it a unique flair by basically, trying to almost redo the first film while not actually redoing the first film. It's kind of weird, because even the killer, the Ghostface killer, they're like, all right, the first film happened and it was a one-and-done thing, and now this Ghostface killer dude is back. What's going to happen? What's going on here? And even Dwight, Dewey, the policeman, and Gale, they're all back, right? Sidney and Randy, they're all kind of returning. All the characters that are at least alive from the first film come back, and they're kind of away from Woodsboro, and they're like, why is this still happening? Who the fudge is this guy? And the whole film, they're trying to kind of, obviously find out who it is, much like the audience. But with that, of course, the horror ensues. Now, look, again, I wouldn't call this a scary film. I was not scared one time. I'm not trying to sound like a badass, I wasn't, okay? That's not to say it's an ineffective horror movie, because it's very intense and intense, there's a lot of crazy moments, crazy set pieces where stuff hits the fan, metaphorically and quite literally sometimes, and it's pretty insane what ends up going down. So there are moments in there where you're like, wow, this is crazy. I was at the edge of my seat. And there are a few deaths, and there's a few moments that really kind of caught me off guard. My jaw was, how people say your jaw is open? My jaw was literally like on the effing floor. It was like this the whole time. It was nuts for just these 1 or 2 moments. And that just goes to show you how dedicated not only the actors are, but the writers are, or the writer, the director, whatever. Because, again, this could have been just a rehash of Scream 1. Could have been the same thing, because, look, on paper, it's the same effing thing. You got the Ghostface Killer, he's back, right? Same characters, same plot. They're even referencing how sequels suck in the film, so there's that film class where they're talking about it, and it's kind of insane because you look at it and it's like, okay, this could have been a flop, right? This could have been a massive effing failure. It shouldn't have been as good as it was, because, I'm not going to say all horror sequels are bad. Evil Dead 2 is fantastic, for example, but there's a lot of horror films that kind of get, worse, kind of, at least from what I've heard, as they go forward. Like Friday the 13th or, whatever, they kind of get more worse as they progress, not necessarily better. This, however, does get better over time. Now, I have not watched Scream 3. I'm going to watch that at the time of recording tomorrow on Wednesday night. That one I've heard is the worst. I don't know. It could be. I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. They say it's shit, but I don't know. Who knows? I could be wrong. We'll have to find out. Review coming soon, of course. But again, like I said, this could have been a billion things wrong. But because of the great acting, I'm not going to say this is the best acting ever, but for a horror movie, some good freaking acting, some good writing, some funny moments. Again, kind of like Evil Dead in the latter half of the franchise, it becomes kind of a horror comedy, and they do a really good job of balancing those two out, where it doesn't feel too funny, where it kind of hinders on cheesy and corny, but it also doesn't feel too terrifying, where the comedy feels out of friggin' nowhere, like, an MCU film, where there's this intense moment and, Drax or someone says something stupid and you're like, was I supposed to laugh? I don't know. But so they really do a good job of kind of balancing that out, which is really cool. Again, some really awesome set pieces, especially with the Ghostface, where, Sydney and I don't know her name, the black girl, I don't remember her name. Genuinely, that's not a racist thing. I'm not racist. I just don't remember her name. Okay, I remember half these characters' names. I know Sydney, I know Dwight, I know Gale, because they're in the first one, right? I barely remember the killer name. But, again, Sydney and her friend get kind of trapped in this car, and they kind of have to, weasel their way out of the car right in front of an unconscious Ghostface. And it's intense, truly. Again, I wasn't scared, but I was on the edge of my seat. I was, when I say scared, I mean like, oh my God, like that. Like, I wasn't, it's not going to happen. But there were moments where I'm like, ooh, dang, or oh my God, what the fudge, stuff like that. And it's a good movie, the writing's really good. It's rare to have a horror film, and at least a horror sequel, where the comedy and the writing and the action and the horror, whatever, everything, it's not only, I don't want to say this film is worse than Scream 1, I don't want to say it's better, I'd say it's about on par, except for one negative, which I'll get into in a second, but again, it's rare to see that in a lot of films, especially these, older horror films, at least from what I've seen, where, they really have a unique story in there. Again, it's not just, it's a murder mystery, and there's a guy in a Ghostface costume, and he's killing kids and teenagers and adults. That's not it. There's a story behind that, right? There's chemistry between Dwight and Gale, right? There's chemistry between Sydney and her friends and Randy and all that. There's some good characters in there. This isn't a masterpiece of filmmaking or anything, but again, it could have been much worse, and thankfully it actually really delivered on that. And again, it's got some good acting, got some good action, got some good, surprisingly some touching moments near the end, regarding Sydney and some other character. Cotton, which again was mentioned in the first film, that for being kind of framed and all that, and he's in there. It's kind of funny to see the guy that plays Sabretooth in X-Men Origins and the guy that plays the Marshal in The Mandalorian as like really kind of younger versions. I swear to God, I didn't think that was Timothy Olyphant, but I'm like, oh crap, that's him. It's kind of funny to see these older-ish actors younger in these roles. I had no idea they were in it, but they're all good. Now, as far as the negative, right? If I could choose one negative, okay, it would have to be the killer reveal, which I will get into in the spoiler part of this review coming up in a second here. But all I'm gonna say is the killer, it's half and half. I don't know how to say it without spoiling it. It's weird because one part of it is really freaking good, and the other part is really dumb. And it isn't, a breaking moment in the film. I'm not watching it and I'm like, oh, it sucks, what I mean? But the first killer reveal in Scream 1 was so good that it's kind of hard to top it. And I don't know if they did that here. And that's kind of the point, right? You want to be shocked. You're watching the whole film, and you're asking yourself, who is the killer? Is it a dude? Is it a girl? Is it, two people? What's going on here? And again, these films are very rewatchable because, you can watch it the first time and not know who the fudge it is. And then you can watch it a second time either with a friend or, a girlfriend or just a buddy or your parents, whatever. And you can kind of, picture because you know who it is now, because you've seen it already, but they don't, you know, so it's kind of cool that you can rewatch these films, this franchise, and kind of, you know, obviously movies, to me, every movie is rewatchable, right? Every movie, unless it's complete dog cheeks, I'm going to watch it over and over again. But these films, because they're a murder mystery and they're genuinely entertaining films, and for horror movies, they're pretty light on horror. Like I said, I'm not scared at all by them. Again, that's not a dig to the film. I'm just saying it straight up. But again, it's really cool to have that rewatchability in there. Like a good game, you want that replayability. Same thing here. But that killer reveal, man, I don't know. Half of it was good, half of it didn't really do it for me. But other than that, man, Scream 2 is a good sequel. It does everything you want it to do, and maybe it doesn't excel in every category, but it isn't worse in any category. It genuinely feels like a good interpretation of the film. It's not a reboot, it is a direct sequel with the same characters and the same story. There's even moments in the first film that kind of carry over these, you know, side plots, and they kind of, you know, carry over into main plots in this film. So the writing's good, the acting's good. Again, that story they're trying to tell, it isn't just, oh, there's a guy in a costume killing people. It's that, but there's so much more to the story that it's really good at building the world, so that when shit does hit the fan, metaphorically, there's no poop in the film, I don't think. You know, I almost pooped my pants, but that's a different thing. You really do feel for these characters when stuff happens. You're like, oh man, crap, not that guy or not that girl, you know? So it's good. It's very effective. I can't wait to get into Scream 3. But anyway, we're going to chug right ahead to the spoilers section. We're going to talk about The Killer. So if you have not seen Scream 2, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Can't wait to do Scream 3 coming up very soon here. Again, I am still waiting for Scream 4 to arrive in the mail. And hopefully I can binge 3, 4, 5, and then go see 6 in theaters ASAP. Again, don't spoil anything in the comments of any of these, or else you're dead. I'm going to send Ghostface after you. Anyway, we're going to talk about Scream 2 spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled for this movie that came out in 1997, I wasn't even freaking born yet. You know, make sure to leave. But anyway, if you don't care, whatever. We're doing it. So anyway, Scream 2, The Killer. You know how I said I'm kind of 50-50 on it. It's because, like the first film, there are 2 killers, right? Now, the first killer is Timothy Olyphant's character, Mickey. Not Mickey Mouse. Mickey the dude. I guess he's kind of a rat because he kind of rats someone out. But Mickey the human is, of course, Timothy Olyphant's character. And look, here's my problem with that reveal. Yes, it's shocking, right? Because I genuinely didn't freaking see it coming. I'm watching, I'm like, wow, it's that guy. I don't remember that guy's effing name, you know? And like, that's the thing. It's a shocking reveal. I didn't see it coming at all. But the problem is that he's barely in the freaking movie. Like, he's in like 4 scenes, 3 maybe, you know, 4 max. And I swear to God, the last scene he's in before he's revealed as a killer, he's helping this, you know, Sydney's boyfriend. They do a dance in the cafeteria. And he's just like, oh, come on, everybody, fling! Fling! It's like, this is stupid. Like, this guy's barely in it. So, it's kind of wonky that, you know, he is revealed. And I get the motive. I get why he's in it. I understand. But because he's barely in this film, you really don't give a fudge. It's just like, you know, the first film with again, I won't spoil it because this isn't a Scream 1 spoiler review, but the killer in that film, he or she is in the movie a lot. So when that happens, you're like, oh crap, you know what I mean? It hits closer to home than just some random dude that's in like 2 scenes, you know? Again, it shocked me, but it didn't have that same effect, and it kind of brought the major reveal down. Just a little bit. And then, of course, we get the fact that Gale walks in with a gun, and we're like, oh, crap, Gale's killer. And then Billy's mom, who is presumably missing in the first film. Of course, you know, Billy was a character in the first film. And we essentially see that, you know, she was kind of like the main antagonist, or the main antagonist. Billy was, you know, there were 2. Mickey was just kind of there. You know what I mean? He was one of them. But he just kind of did it to student loans and all this crazy, insane, blame it on movies, crap, you know, whatever. This chick, Billy's mom, Mrs. Loomis, who is, you know, I guess, fronting as a reporter like Gale Weathers is, it's a good reveal. That saved it, you know what I mean? Because I genuinely didn't see it coming. Just like Mickey, but this actually worked because it has ramifications from the first film. So I think that's actually really cool. Again, her death in the film is really cool. I think it's cool that Sydney's in like that play area where she's kind of at, and she kind of gets like that. I don't want to say comeuppance, but you know, she kind of gets the badass kill that you would expect her to have. And it works, it's cool, it's awesome, and I think it was a really good reveal. So, yeah, the Mickey thing wasn't too great, but I think that Billy Loomis's mom was actually pretty, pretty good. I think I kind of saved it for me. Other than that, man, I can't really do too many spoilers. Of course, what's his name? Cotton. I think that's a nickname. I don't know why the hell you name your kid Cotton. I'm assuming, I hope that's a nickname at least. But Cotton, quote unquote, of course, the person that Sidney framed in the first film for killing her mom, if I'm getting that right, basically he is completely innocent. And the film does a good-ass job of making you think he's a killer. Because I should, it's funny because, I have watched so many episodes of Scooby-Doo that I swear to Christ, I should be an expert at this, right? I should be like Sherlock friggin' Holmes. But I see it, and I'm like, oh, they're playing a scary tone. Or they're directing this guy, Cotton, to be like a weirdo and a creep. And he is a weirdo and a creep, but he's not a killer. In fact, he ends up saving the day, and it's kind of a touching moment where, everyone's kind of interviewing Sidney, like, oh man, tell us what happened. And she's like, maybe you better ask him, so he gets the limelight that he's always wanted, as well as being free. So it's kind of a touching end to this horror film, which you don't see a whole lot of those either. So it was a good ending to a good film, and I cannot wait to dive right into Scream 3. Again, it's a good franchise, man. If you can stand horror, I think you can stand this. This is very, very, very light on horror. Yes, there are jump scares. Yes, it's a little bloody. Yes, it's about a killer with a knife. But it isn't as gory as Evil Dead. It isn't as scary as Evil Dead. It's definitely one of the more tamer horror films that at least I've seen. I haven't seen a whole lot, but I'm just saying. But again, man, I really freaking enjoyed Scream 2. I think, that killer reveal kind of brought it down a bit. Anyway, yeah, it should be a lot of fun to see what we're going to be ending up with Scream 3. Make sure not to spoil it in the comments. I am going to give Scream 2... Let's see, I'm going to give it an A-. I think it was very, very well done. And again, the only real issue was that Mickey character being revealed didn't necessarily hit home, the fact that I wanted it to, because again, it's barely in the movie. But I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to dive into Scream 3. Make sure to tell me down below without spoiling anything what you think. And yeah, I can't wait to do it. I didn't actually give a rating in the non-spoiler review. It just it left my mind. So I'm going to leave the rating in the description and the pinned comment in case you haven't seen it and, whatever. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Can't wait to dive into Scream 3. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.